I went to a seance on Friday the 13th.
Spook!
So when I first moved to Los Angeles last summer, I lived in a communal house for artists. So it was me with 28 other actors, models, DJs, photographers, filmmakers, painters, etc. living in this one house in bunk beds. It was great, but originally, before it was purchased to become a communal house for artists, it was the site of a murder-suicide. A man shot his girlfriend in the house and then shot himself. Well, now that all these artists live there, there would be reports every now and then of things getting mysteriously moved around or doors opening and closing without explanation, and people began to ask, is this place haunted? So the landlord hired an expensive world-class medium to come in on the night of Friday the 13th and hold a seance to contact the spirits and see what the deal is. And I don't live in this house anymore, but I was invited back to attend the seance. Now, for most of my life, I did not believe in ghosts. As a kid, my mom was very adamant about there's no such thing as ghosts, there's no such thing as fortune-telling, there's no such thing as magic spells. So for the longest time, when anyone told me that they encountered a ghost or had any kind of supernatural experience, I would be extremely skeptical. I would say, well, surely there's a scientific explanation for that you just don't know about, and I would go to these haunted locations and I wouldn't see anything. Like, I went to college in the small southern town of Americus, Georgia, and there were several supposedly haunted locations in the town. Americus has a lot of history, like a lot of dark history, like stories of the KKK and murders and a local oligarchy that tried to cover up crime. And there's a legend that Al Capone came to town. So during my 4 years of college, I visited supposedly haunted locations, like this hotel from the 1800s with this spooky, decrepit top floor, or this graveyard, or this abandoned insane asylum, or this fancy theater haunted by a ghost named Frank. And I would look for ghosts, I'd take pictures, I'd try to whisper and call out to the spirits, but I never saw anything. I never encountered any ghost or any kind of supernatural phenomenon. But the most popular and spookiest haunted location in the town was an old country road on the outskirts of the city called Three Bridges Road. And the road feels like it's in the middle of nowhere. Like there's not much on the road and it just goes through the woods with these creepy trees that grow on either side, just reaching over. And most of it's not paved, it's a dirt road. You have to drive over it slowly. When you drive down this road at night, it's spooky as The road is called Three Bridges Road because it crosses a creek in a couple places, and there are bridges over the creek. But the thing is, there are only 2 bridges on Three Bridges Road. Why is that? Well, the third bridge is said to be the bridge to the spirit world, because the road is haunted by the ghost of a girl from the 1800s who was unwanted by her mother, so her mother killed her and threw her body off one of the bridges into the creek. And there was a second murder where a teenage girl in the 1970s was killed by her boyfriend, and he threw her body off the bridge into the creek. And they say that if you drive to this bridge at night, turn your car off, roll down your window, and place your keys on top of the car as a sign of submission, then you will see these small handprints of a girl appear on your back windshield. And you might even see the faint apparition of a young girl sadly wandering the road in front of you. Well, I went to Three Bridges Road several times. I went with friends, I went by myself, and just like all the other haunted places, I never saw anything. There was no ghost. But then on Halloween night, my senior year of college, I went one last time with some friends, and I was taking a darkroom photography class that semester, so I brought my actual film camera. I thought, surely this ghost, if she exists, won't be able to resist the opportunity to appear on an old-fashioned camera as opposed to a modern digital one. And so this picture was taken. That's me with my friends, and I am actually in my Magneto Halloween costume in this picture, minus the helmet. Link to that in the description. But then I go into the dark room the following week and I develop the picture. And here is the uncropped photograph. Do you see that? Do you see that right there? That is a face. And there was no one else with us. There was no one standing there. Now, this is her shoulder, but this? And I thought, what if there's a camera malfunction? What if there's a smudge on the lens or something? But no, look at it. Those are eyes. And my friend here, whom the face was next to, told me after I showed her the photograph that she and her family have a history of supernatural encounters. So it's like the ghost was drawn to her. So after I saw this, and after I talked to my friends about it, I started to put my skepticism aside, and I considered the possibility that maybe, just maybe, there is more to this universe than meets the eye of conventional science. I'm just kidding. The image is fake. I know, because I faked it. I asked someone else to stand in a second photograph that I blurred and overlaid onto that image from Three Bridges Road. Like in the darkroom, I took a circle of paper and put it on the end of a paperclip like this, and I held it over the photograph as it was developing so that all of the picture would get developed except for that one spot. And then I took a sheet of paper with a hole cut out of it, and I held that over the photo so that I could develop the blurry image of the other person into that one spot. And voila! Instant ghost photo. Except not instant, because I spent hours in the dark room trying to get that right. I had many failed attempts. This process, by the way, is called dodging, and like you see in Photoshop, you see the dodge tool? Well, that tool is named after this original darkroom technique. So anyway, short story long, I still don't believe in ghosts. I have never encountered any evidence for the supernatural, despite going out of my way to make myself available for ghosts to haunt. And this is the attitude I had going into this seance that I went to last week. But like, here's the thing, I want ghosts to be real. I think the universe would be a more interesting universe if it were a place where ghosts exist. I don't believe in ghosts and I never have, but I want to believe in them. And so before I went to this seance, I posted this on Facebook. In 3 days, on Friday the 13th, I'm going to a late night seance at a house that is supposedly haunted by the restless spirits of a suicide murderer and his victim. I'm not scared because I think paranormal encounters aren't real and can be scientifically explained. But ghosts are pretty cool. So as someone who doesn't believe in ghosts but wants to, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And people started getting concerned for me once I posted that. Like, people commented warning me that spiritual beings are not to be trifled with. And I had friends approach me in person telling me that they were concerned that I was going to this seance, and they just wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting in too deep with evil forces, you know. And I do genuinely appreciate my friend's concern. But, let's just jump right into what happened at the seance. We had a paranormal investigator come through with the EMF reader and the dowsing pendulum and the lights and candles, the Necronomicon, the whole 9 yards. After the paranormal investigator checked things out, we had a more old school medium come in with the tarot cards and sage oil, and we all held hands in a circle and went, Om. So there were 2 different people investigating the house that night. A paranormal investigator and a classic medium, both with years and years of experience at this type of thing. The paranormal investigator took readings on all her devices of like temperature, and she would listen to the spirit box, which is like a radio that sometimes picks up ethereal voices, and she communicated with the spirits using her pendulum. And the pendulum was the most impressive part because she'd ask yes or no questions like, am I talking to the ghost of blank? And the pendulum would swing towards yes or no, seemingly by itself. I mean, I don't know, does it look like she's moving her hand there? You tell me.
Is the man who killed you still here? Prominent yes. This is insane. This like never happens.
But then she would pass the pendulum to someone else and it would work for that person too.
Am I able to do that?
Able to do what?
What you're doing?
Sure. You want to give it a go? Try to keep your hand as still as possible. Now I want you to concentrate on the ball itself and ask a simple yes or no question. It might take a little bit for it to get used to your energy. Are you okay with her using this pendulum?
Ew, dude. My hand's not even moving.
It says yes.
Like, here's me trying my hand at the pendulum, and while the pendulum would not swing as dramatically for us as it would for her, like, according to her it was because it was not used to our energy, it was still really impressive, and nothing else that night stood out to me as supernatural. Like, not the EMF reader, not the tarot cards, not the spirit box, like, none of that stuff is gonna make me wonder if the supernatural exists. But that pendulum gave me pause, so I looked it up and discovered the ideomotor effect, when your motor neurons will act on subconscious impulses without you being aware of it. Like when I was holding the pendulum, I was determined for it not to move, but as soon as the thought crossed my mind, as soon as I started to anticipate it, that's when it started moving for me.
Doesn't that look like yes?
Because when I think about it moving towards yes or no, my brain will subconsciously move my hand in the most imperceptible way, even imperceptible to me, to make the pendulum move in that direction. And you can actually test this at home. Like, this is a cheap plastic monocle that I have that I use for costumes, but I can use it as a dowsing pendulum by controlling it with my mind. Like, I promise, I am not consciously moving my hand at all. But if I think that it's about to swing to yes, it starts to swing there. Did you see that? So now I'm gonna change it. Like, what if I think it's about to go to no? See, now I'm thinking for it to go laterally. Now let me try to bring it back to no. Yeah, see there, it's going to no again. A little bit. I'm thinking about yes. And see there, it's going to yes, see? So there's nothing supernatural about it for me. It's just when I think that it's about to go to yes, my brain will subconsciously move my hand and start swinging it in the direction of yes, even though I am not consciously moving my hand in that direction at all. And this is the same scientific principle behind, like, divining rods and table turning. That's the ideomotor effect. Scientists have been studying this for a long time, and it's highly interesting research, so I will put some links to that in the description, and I encourage you to check it out. So that was the paranormal investigator, and then we had the medium come in. And she was really cool, but again, there was nothing that stood out to me as supernatural. Like, we just meditated and prayed and looked at tarot cards, and then she would use her perceptive abilities to sense what was up with the spirits, and then she would communicate that to us. But at the end of the night, I still didn't have any experience or any evidence of the supernatural, and I still don't believe in ghosts. But that's just me. For some people who attended the seance, it was a different story. Like, both the paranormal investigator and the medium suggested that there was some sort of malevolent entity in the house, like a demon or something. And for some people, that is a very palpable fear, and you could sense the unrest in the house after that. And it got to the point that the paranormal investigator herself posted in the house Facebook group saying that what she did that night was for entertainment only, is easily debunkable, and that she had no evidence of ghosts in the house. And then going back to the night of the seance, once most people had left the room at the end of the night, once the medium had finished her session, it was just her and a few others, including me, she actually said, and I quote, "Magic isn't real." And she went on to say that what she does is a kind of hypnosis, and that she herself is a skeptic who deals in illusions, things that aren't real, but when illusions give people peace of mind, they become real for those people. That's what she said. So I think it's very telling when not one, but two different paranormal experts, both with years and years of experience, come to a house and conduct a seance, but then afterwards come out and admit that what they did at that seance is just an illusion. Now, if you have ever had a supernatural experience, if you have ever sensed something beyond what is normal, I do not mean to deny you. In fact, I believe that you did have some sort of experience. Like when people tell me that they sensed something beyond what is natural or that they felt a supernatural presence, I know they're not lying to me. They did experience something. It's just that is evidence for you, and you can make of your experiences what you will. But it's not evidence for me, and for me personally, there is always a scientific explanation for these kinds of things. But I'm always open to new possibilities, and I always enjoy hearing those stories, so if you've ever seen a ghost, let me know in the comments. Well, thank you for watching this long vlog. Next week, I'll be giving you a history of my Halloween costume, and I'm expecting this one to come out on Tuesday, on Halloween morning. Wouldn't it be cool if I got 666 subscribers for Halloween? Can you help me get 666 subscribers? I'm almost there. I can do it. Like, I have a Lego jack-o'-lantern. And my friend here, my ever I just knocked my jack-o'-lantern off the dresser. No, no, no.